And what we're going to talk about tonight is the long game. Now, the greatest designers, they don't build, a brand. They build, for the next generations, generations to come. Why the long game matters? Would you rather be famous for a year or respected for a lifetime? Today's culture rewards speed and, how fast you build brands. But a lot of those brands don't last a long time. And the lasting brands are, the ones that build through patience and consistency. Success isn't about arriving to the show quickly. It's about, staying relevant over time. The 20-year vision that we as a brand are building right now is not about, the next collections that we have in the next 5 years. It's about, how we want to look in the next 20 years. It's about the legacy, that we're building on a day-to-day basis. The messaging that we putting out to the world on a day-to-day basis. The values that we have in the messages that we put out. The imagery that we put out. You know what I'm saying? If your brand lasted 100 years, will people remember what it's about, what it's for? That's the main question. You know what I'm saying? Are you putting together pieces that are timeless, that are iconic, that will influence people's lives, maybe even change some? You got to stop chasing the trends. Trends can create attention, which, is good in moments for a business, but identity builds loyalty. You feel me? Study trends without letting them define your brand. So if you're going to put, a piece or a collection together, at least make sure that it aligns with your brand and you're not just doing it just to be doing it. Build a recognizable design language that evolves while staying true to your philosophies. A timeless brand influences trends instead of depending on them. That's why I do things from an art base, because that's what I learned first was the different aspects of art. Now, I'm not saying that, I remember the history like that and, all the greats, but that's my base. So that's why I try to, implement abstract, surreal art in my designs. That's why, with the messaging, my mom raised us to, in the church. So that's kind of our base too. And then, my experiences come from the streets. So it all just mixes in together. It's kind of like, how they talked about Ray Charles. You can't mix church and, the streets together. But that's what you got to do sometimes in order to, be able to explain your story. Man, you got to compound your efforts. Compounding your efforts, comes with every sketch, which in turn improves your eye, your artistic eye. Every collection refines your vision. It builds on the vision that was already set. It sets the bricks and the foundation to what you are trying to build overall. Every live stream strengthens your communication, not only just, your communication with your audience, but your communication skills. So that way, when you go out, do interviews, you might even host certain events, you can publicly speak without any interruptions. Every customer interaction builds trust. Every podcast expands your perspective. Small, consistent actions create significant results over time. So that's why you got to take it like you going in the gym and practicing every day. You doing these things on a day-to-day basis, or at least on a weekly basis. You're implementing different things on a day-to-day basis, so that way you're constantly improving. Building systems, not just products. Because if you're building systems, you'll be able to implement and delegate different responsibilities to other people that are skilled at those tasks. You know what I'm saying? You got to think beyond, just your individual releases. You got to be able to set up systems that, are for design, content creation, marketing, customer experience, production, learning and education and reflecting, storytelling. Strong systems make consistent execution possible. You feel me? Your reputation is your greatest asset. You build your reputation through, delivering quality consistency. Honoring your commitment, showing up on time to events, to, things that are scheduled and planned, showing people that you are committed to what you are doing, being authentic, you know what I'm saying, maintaining high standards, you know what I'm saying, treating every customer experience with care. Trust goes a long way and grows one interaction at a time. Think like a fashion house. Don't just think like, a fashion designer. You got to ask yourself these questions. Does this decision strengthen the brand 5 years from now? Will this collection still matter in a decade? Am I creating a body of work isolated products? Great fashion houses think in chapters, not moments. Patience is a competitive advantage. You feel me? Most people quit before, momentum actually is starting to be built with the brand. Growth is often, gradual before it becomes obvious. And it takes time. That's why you got to really trust the process. You got to, like I said, be in the gym with your craft, doing the research, building on your designs, and also learning how to make your designs reality, but also being relative to the times. Continue refining your craft even when, external recognition is slow. Because you got to remember, consistency is what allows opportunity to meet preparation. You got to remember that you're preparing yourself for these bigger moments anyway. So you got to make the right choices in the moments that you choose. First and foremost, you got to know what you're doing. Second off, and then once you get these opportunities, you got to be ready for the opportunity. You feel me? What are you building that will still matter 10 years from now? For us at Dreams of Rulers, we're not just building products or selling products. We're literally building a community, a world, a universe, to where people can reflect on the brand, reflect on different messaging, reflect on how to visualize their purpose, and start living with intent. What habits today are you shaping your future with? Well, with us, as you can see, we're constantly making live stream content. We're also making, web series, things of that sort. You feel me? We're doing different things in order to not only sell a product or, put out a product, but also have meaning behind what we're doing. Showing people that it's not about, the clothes that we're putting out. It's about the message that we're putting out. We just using the clothes as a different canvas. Are you making decisions for immediate attention or lasting impact? I'm just trying to be here forever, you feel me? Even when I pass away, I want this brand to last forever. I want y'all to be able to come back to these videos 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, even with your kids, you know what I'm saying, and be like, yo, this was a time to be alive, because this guy right here, his dedication to his craft was able to inspire me to do something with my life. The long game is choosing purpose over popularity, consistency over convenience, legacy over likes. You feel what I'm saying? Like, when I first started out, I probably got more views than, I got now. But at the same time, as I've been able to implement different things, everything has grown all together. You feel me? The brand that stands the test of time aren't built through one breakthrough moment. They're built through thousands of intentional decisions that align with a vision. That's why right now I've been on the live stream every day. Just about. Probably only been about 1 or 2 days that I've not been on this joint. When it comes to my content, I don't really miss a day at all. And when it comes to, designing, probably don't even miss on the collections. I just got to get it out to, the world. And, it's a process. And that's something I understood once I got started and as I kept going. Good people that I've had around me always made sure that I understood that and remembered that. And every step you take today becomes a part of the legacy you create tomorrow. So you can't take, the designs that you're creating now lightly. You can't take, the opportunities that you're getting now lightly. You got to put in the time and the effort and the work in order to make things actually work out for you and work for the brand. You got to use the resources that you have in order to make that shit work. Like, even when you don't got the dollars, you got to make that shit work. Even when you don't got, the support, you got to make that shit work. Your friends ain't going to support you. It's just real. The main thing is that you got to support yourself first. And once you support yourself, then the right people will tie in. So you got to look at things that way. And remember that, nobody going to save you. We got a t-shirt in our brand apparel section for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of opportunities out here. There's a lot of different, niches, in the fashion industry. You don't have to necessarily be a designer. You don't necessarily have to be in fashion, to be great. When I was a kid, I heard the story of $1 Million Butler. And you know why he was $1 Million Butler? It wasn't because, of his hard work, just because of his hard work, but he was an all-around person. He made sure that he treated people the right way. He made sure that he showed up on time. He made sure that he put in the extra effort in his work when he did his work. He made sure that the main thing was always the main thing. And what I mean by that is when I say the main thing is the main thing, that means that when you show up to work is your only focus. When you go home, your next focus is, if you're a fashion designer, putting together, the strategies you need in order to build. Same thing in any other craft. So that's how you got to look at life. That's how you got to, assess building. That's how you got to start reprogramming your mindset in order to actually start becoming the great star that you are. And that's, been visual to you. Because only you can really see the vision. You just got to bring that joint to reality so that way we can all see it with you. That's why, I work so hard myself. That's why you see me doing so many different things. Because at the end of the day, life is short. For some of us, it's a little bit shorter if we actually pay attention, you feel me? A lot of us don't pay attention to the time that we have on this earth. And that's why, you don't see a lot of people maximizing it. But I believe in you. That's why I'm on these live streams. You know what I'm saying? To give you game on, how I got to this point, how I was able to put my dreams together and put them out to the world. So that way, even if I die, that joint gonna end up making money anyway. Just because I put in the time, the effort, and the research. For a lot of y'all just gotta believe in yourselves, man. Wholeheartedly. Cause I be seeing some of y'all on Instagram. Y'all be having, good, great, content, music, apparel. But through y'all actions, you can tell y'all don't fully believe it in the journey or, in the vision. And it's not to say you don't believe in yourself, but you just don't believe in the vision enough to be consistent yet. And I know it's a road that is real hard to travel because, like I was talking to, my friends, the gatekeepers, people that want to withhold knowledge, want to withhold opportunity. But if you're true to yourself and you show up every day, you create the opportunity for yourself. You don't need nobody. You just need a solid team in order to make that shit work. And I promise you, your dreams and goals will come to fruition. It's just like how I told my one homie, like, bro, I had 0 subscribers on my YouTube channel 3 years ago, 2023. Now I have 918, probably more just because of this live stream. And you know what that is? That's hard work, that's discipline, that's creativity, reinventing yourself when you see fit, and letting no distractions get in the way of the process. So that's all it really takes. You know what I'm saying? And we 8 years in. And like I said, imagine what year 10 is going to bring. Year 9 is going to really bring in the bucks. But year 10, that's when the world's really going to start to receive us. You feel what I'm saying? Because really, we starting to put together, our own operations. We're building to be fully integrated. You feel what I'm saying? We're not trying to build so that way, we working with other people and they just paying us a paycheck. Nah, we're not trying to work for the establishment. We're not creating a job through entrepreneurship. You feel me? We creating a foundation for not only myself, but others to create and be great. So that's why, at the beginning of these streams, I say, make sure that you like and subscribe because it only helps us to grow It only helps, you know, the true believers in what we trying to do continue to see what we are, you know, putting out there. And then on top of that, you know, for the day ones, I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? And if today is your first day, you know what I'm saying? I'm glad you a new day one, you know me? Like, I'm trying to build something more than about, you know, dollars and cents, and more about, you know, knowledge and wisdom. So if you can believe in that, make sure that you like and subscribe. Make sure that you also check out, you know, the From the Mud short film series that we got out right now. We got 3 parts. Also, make sure that you check out our A Lot of Fashion podcast, which, you know, helps anybody trying to build, you know, a brand or a business. We try to give you as many gems as possible in, you know, every aspect of building a product, building a brand, and we have more in store. So definitely stay tuned. We also got, you know, Drip Talk, where it's all about fashion and the industry. We also got, you know, the From the Mud collection out right now, which is available on our website. And then we also got, you know, the spoken word album and the poetry book. They're available on all the proper platforms. So definitely go ahead, tap in, catch that experience, catch, you know, what the vibe is from really building from the mud, and keep visualizing your purpose. Because like I always say at the end of these streams, only takes a solid plan, solid research, proper execution, and your dreams and goals will come to fruition. Anybody can do it. Just gotta put the work in. Keep visualizing. I'll catch y'all tomorrow on the next stream. Be safe.